Did you know that 80% of seniors who get involved in new relationships never disclose their true financial situation? Even more shocking, nearly 1 in 5 Americans over 65 have experienced some form of financial exploitation, with average losses exceeding $120,000 per victim. Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Davis, and today I'm going to share a personal story that might just save your retirement savings and your heart. At 65 years old, I found myself in a situation many of us never anticipated in our younger years, starting over and looking for companionship after decades of marriage. I retired 5 years ago after working as a high school math teacher for over 30 years. I've settled into a quiet 2-bedroom condo in sunny Florida, while my only daughter, Sarah, lives across the country in New York. My wife passed away 3 years ago, and since then life has been peaceful, yes, but also profoundly lonely. The grieving process after losing my wife of 38 years wasn't straightforward. Some days I could barely get out of bed, while on others I felt guilty for laughing or enjoying myself. For nearly 2 years, the thought of dating seemed not just foreign, but disrespectful to my wife's memory. Many of you might recognize this feeling, the strange guilt that comes with considering new relationships after loss. My daughter Sarah would regularly call, gently suggesting I get back out there. "Dad," she'd say, "Mom would want you to be happy. She wouldn't want you sitting alone every night." I knew she was right, but taking that first step felt impossible. My friend Tom, also widowed, shared his own experience. "Michael, I waited 5 years before dating again. That was too long. Don't make my mistake." These conversations made me reflect on what loneliness was doing to me. I'd read that chronic loneliness can be as damaging to health as smoking 15 cigarettes daily, increasing risks of heart disease, depression, and even dementia. For many of us over 60, this isn't just about finding romance. It's about our health and well-being. Dating at our age comes with unique challenges that our younger selves never faced. We bring decades of life experience, established financial situations, adult children with strong opinions, health considerations, and deeply ingrained habits. A recent survey found that 68% of singles over 60 ranked honesty about finances as their top concern when entering new relationships, higher than physical attraction or shared interests. This makes sense when you think about it. We've spent decades building financial security, and we're naturally protective of what we've worked so hard to achieve. After much contemplation, I decided it was time to look for companionship. Not necessarily marriage, but someone to share my days with. I had been gardening, reading, and volunteering at the local library, but there was always something missing, that human connection that gives life its richness. One day, my neighbor Linda, who manages our community events, suggested I meet Christine, a retired nurse who lived a few blocks away. She's intelligent, independent, and looking for someone to spend time with just like you, Linda told me. With her encouragement, I decided to reach out. After a brief phone conversation that went surprisingly well, we agreed to meet for coffee at a nearby cafe. As the day approached, I found myself unexpectedly nervous. Dating felt foreign after so many years. What would we talk about? Should I bring a small gift? What should I wear? These questions might seem trivial to younger people, but for someone who'd been out of the dating world for nearly 4 decades, they loomed large. On the morning of our meeting, I went through my closet twice, finally settling on a crisp white shirt and a blazer I hadn't worn in years. I arrived at the cafe 15 minutes early, chose a seat by the window, ordered a cappuccino, and waited with a mix of anticipation and apprehension. Christine arrived right on time. She walked in with an air of confidence, dressed elegantly in a light blue blouse and pearl earrings. Her warm smile immediately put me at ease as she approached. I stood to greet her, and we exchanged pleasantries before sitting down. The first part of our conversation flowed easily. Christine shared stories about her years as a nurse and her recent retirement. She spoke fondly of her son, who had moved to Chicago for work, and her love for cooking. In return, I talked about my teaching career, my daughter in New York, and my passion for gardening. We discovered shared experiences, our appreciation for quiet moments, and the challenges of adjusting to life after decades of structured work. For a while, the conversation felt effortless, and I found myself relaxing. But as our coffee meeting progressed, Christine's tone shifted, signaling a transition from casual pleasantries to a more serious discussion. She leaned forward, her expression softening but taking on a certain seriousness. She began by telling me how much she appreciated my openness and honesty, qualities she valued deeply. Then she explained that she had a few expectations for specific conditions for beginning a relationship. At first, I thought her candor was refreshing. After all, isn't it better to lay everything on the table than to dance around unspoken expectations? But as she detailed her first condition, my feelings began to change, and I realized I was about to learn some valuable lessons about dating at our age, lessons I'm now sharing with you. Christine's first condition caught me completely off guard. She proposed a 6-month trial period of living together, which in itself wasn't entirely unreasonable. Living together before making deeper commitments could help us learn more about each other. However, it was what came next that sent warning bells ringing in my mind. To move forward with this trial, she wanted me to deposit $20,000 into a shared account as a commitment deposit to demonstrate my sincerity. She explained that if the trial didn't work out, she would refund a portion of the money, prorated to the time we had lived together. As she spoke, I felt a wave of emotions, surprise, confusion, and disappointment. It wasn't the amount itself, though $20,000 is certainly not a small sum. What troubled me was the principle of the request. It felt transactional, as if sincerity could be measured in dollar signs. This represents warning sign number 1. Early financial commitment demands. According to National Council on Aging, financial exploitation of seniors has reached epidemic proportions in America, with older adults losing an estimated $2.9 billion annually to scams and exploitation. What's particularly troubling is that many of these situations don't begin as obvious scams, but as seemingly reasonable requests within developing relationships. Dr. Elizabeth Reynolds, a financial gerontologist I later consulted, told me this is surprisingly common. I've seen variations of the security deposit request numerous times. Sometimes it's framed as an investment opportunity that can't wait. Other times as help with an urgent debt. What these requests have in common is that they occur before trust has been naturally established. I've since spoken with Robert, a 70-year-old retired accountant who shared his experience. 6 weeks into dating, my girlfriend suggested we open a joint account for future travels. I deposited $15,000. 2 months later, she disappeared with the entire amount. Robert's story isn't uncommon. A recent study found that new romantic partners were involved in 28% of financial exploitation cases among seniors. The appropriate response to such requests is a polite but firm explanation that you prefer to build trust organically before making significant financial commitments. A reasonable person will understand this boundary. If they become insistent or make you feel guilty, that's an additional red flag. As Christine continued, she smoothly transitioned to her second condition. She explained that one of her lifelong dreams had always been to visit Hawaii, a destination she associated with beauty and romance. This wasn't just any vacation. Christine envisioned a month-long getaway complete with professional photo shoot to commemorate the experience. She spoke enthusiastically, describing sunset strolls on the beach, helicopter tours over volcanoes, and snapshots capturing the start of what she hoped would be a new chapter for both of us. At first, I appreciated the sentiment. A dream trip to Hawaii sounded lovely. But then came the kicker. Christine expected me to cover all expenses for this month-long trip. She justified this by saying she'd ensure everything was meticulously planned, relieving me of any stress. "I'll handle all the arrangements," she promised. "From flights to accommodations, all you'll need to do is relax and enjoy." This represents warning sign number 2, extravagant spending expectations early in the relationship. Financial advisor Melanie Thompson, who specializes in retirement planning, explained to me later that a month in Hawaii with professional photography could easily cost $15,000 to $20,000, a significant portion of many retirees' annual income. One of the quickest ways seniors deplete their savings is through unplanned large expenses connected to new relationships, Thompson told me. "I've seen clients spend their emergency funds on cruises and vacations with new partners, only to regret it deeply when the relationship ends." John, a 68-year-old retiree from Oregon, shared his experience. "My girlfriend of 2 months had always dreamed of seeing Paris. I wanted to impress her, so I spent nearly $10,000 on a 2-week trip. She broke up with me 3 weeks after we returned. Looking back, I realized I was trying to buy affection rather than build a genuine connection." What makes these requests particularly concerning is the inherent imbalance. When one person plans an extravagant experience that the other person pays for, it creates an unhealthy dynamic from the start. Healthy relationships involve mutual contribution, perhaps not always equal in dollar amount, but equal in sacrifice and commitment. Christine's third condition left me even more bewildered. She explained that if our trial cohabitation went well and we decided to marry, she would expect full control over our household finances. Specifically, she wanted me to hand over my retirement income, which she would then manage. She described her reasoning in practical terms. As a retired nurse, she believed she had the organizational skills to handle financial matters efficiently. Each month, she would allocate me a small allowance for personal expenses, ensuring that the rest of the money was used responsibly for shared needs. She even added that if I overspent my allowance, I would have to make up for it by taking on additional household responsibilities, such as cleaning or cooking. This is warning sign number 3, one-sided financial control. According to Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, financial abuse is the most common form of elder abuse, yet remains underreported. Dr. Margaret Hudson, a psychologist specializing in older adult relationships, explained, "What's particularly dangerous about financial control in later life relationships is how it erodes autonomy and self-worth. Even when there's no malicious intent, these arrangements can quickly become problematic. The arrangement Christine proposed would effectively make me financially dependent on her, removing my autonomy over the money I had spent a lifetime earning." As psychiatrist Dr. James Carter notes, financial independence is strongly linked to psychological well-being, especially in older adults. Surrendering that independence can lead to feelings of powerlessness and depression. Healthy financial arrangements for older couples take many forms, but they all share key characteristics: transparency, mutual decision-making on major expenses, and personal autonomy for each partner. Many successful couples maintain separate accounts for personal spending while sharing a joint account for household expenses. Others pool everything but ensure both partners have equal access and regular financial discussions. As Christine began outlining her final condition, I could feel my patience wearing thin, though I did my best to remain polite. She explained that even if we moved in together or got married, she would require us to maintain completely separate bedrooms. She elaborated that after over a decade of living alone following her divorce, she had grown accustomed to having her own space. Sharing a room or a bed, she claimed, would disrupt her sleep and make her feel crowded. This represents warning sign number 4, extreme boundaries and non-negotiable demands. Having separate bedrooms isn't inherently problematic, Many happy couples sleep separately for various reasons. According to the National Sleep Foundation, nearly 25% of couples over 65 sleep in separate rooms and report high relationship satisfaction. What made this a warning sign wasn't the separate bedroom request itself, but the rigid, non-negotiable way it was presented alongside her other demands. Relationship counselor Dr. Elena Martinez explains, healthy relationships involve give and take, with both partners willing to discuss compromise and find solutions that work for both parties. When someone presents a series of non-negotiable demands before a relationship has even begun, it often signals an unwillingness to compromise that will extend to other areas of life. When someone presents a list of demands that primarily benefit them with little consideration for your comfort or preferences, it suggests an imbalance that will likely persist throughout the relationship. As relationship expert Dr. Robert Collins puts it, the early stages of dating provide a window into how someone approaches partnership. If it feels one-sided from the beginning, it rarely improves with time. As Christine finished explaining her 4 conditions, I realized how disconnected her vision of a relationship was from my own. I had come into this meeting hoping to find a genuine connection, someone to share quiet moments, mutual respect, and the simple joys of life with. Instead, I found myself listening to a detailed list of requirements that made me feel more like a business partner than a potential companion. Understanding the psychology behind these warning signs. While Christine's demands seemed unreasonable to me, I've since wondered about the experiences that might have shaped her approach to relationships. Often, controlling behaviors stem from past wounds or betrayals. Perhaps Christine had been financially exploited in a previous relationship, or maybe she had watched friends lose their security after diving too quickly into new relationships. Dr. Patricia Simmons, a psychologist specializing in later life relationships, explains, many older adults, particularly those who've experienced loss through death, divorce, or financial exploitation, develop protective mechanisms. These protective measures, while understandable, can sometimes prevent the very connections they're seeking. Understanding the psychology behind such demands doesn't mean accepting them, but it can help us respond with compassion rather than judgment. According to relationship psychologists, people who create rigid rules often do so out of fear of being hurt again, fear of losing control, or fear of making the same mistakes. For women like Christine, who came of age in an era when financial independence for women wasn't the norm, money can represent security in a profound way. Studies show that women over 65 are 80% more likely than men to live in poverty after divorce or widowhood. This financial vulnerability can lead to protective behaviors that, while intended as self-preservation, can appear controlling to others. Dr. Simmons adds, many people who've been hurt in past relationships swing to extremes in their attempts to protect themselves. Instead of establishing reasonable boundaries, they build walls so high that genuine connection becomes impossible. How can we distinguish between reasonable caution and unhealthy control? The key lies in flexibility and mutuality. Reasonable precautions protect both parties equally and remain open to discussion. Controlling demands typically benefit one person at the other's expense and are presented as non-negotiable. For example, a reasonable approach to finances might be, I've been hurt financially in past relationships. Could we keep our money separate initially and discuss major financial decisions together? This protects both people while leaving room for the relationship to evolve. In contrast, you need to give me $20,000 and let me control your income places all the power with one person. My daughter Sarah's reaction when I told her about the date was immediate concern. Dad, those aren't boundaries, those are red flags, she said. As a financial advisor, she had seen numerous cases of seniors being exploited in relationships. Her assessment was blunt but valuable. Anyone who asks for that kind of financial commitment before there's even a relationship isn't looking for a partner. They're looking for a piggy bank. My friend Tom, who had been dating successfully after becoming widowed 5 years ago, offered another perspective. When I started dating again, I was so afraid of being taken advantage of that I probably came across as suspicious and untrusting. It took time to find a balance between protecting myself and opening my heart, but I never asked anyone to prove their commitment with money. Family and friends can play crucial roles in our dating lives after 60. They offer perspectives we might miss and can spot potential problems when we're blinded by loneliness or attraction. My weekly lunch group of retired colleagues became an informal sounding board, sharing experiences and offering guidance as we all navigated this new territory of senior dating. One of the most important lessons from my experience with Christine was learning to trust my instincts. Throughout our conversation, I felt a growing sense of discomfort, a knot in my stomach that tightened with each new demand. This wasn't just surprise at new ideas. It was my internal warning system, honed by 65 years of human interaction, telling me something wasn't right. Dr. Carter explains that intuition often manifests physically. That gut feeling isn't just a metaphor. Our bodies often recognize danger before our conscious minds can articulate what's wrong. Physical discomfort during interactions, tension, stomach unease, shallow breathing. These can be your body's way of sending warning signals. In reflecting on my reaction to Christine's demands, I realized that what bothered me most wasn't just a specific request, but what they revealed about her approach to relationships. Each condition positioned her to receive benefits while limiting her vulnerability or investment. This fundamental imbalance suggested a transactional rather than mutual perspective on partnership. After my experience with Christine, I developed a personal action plan for future dating, a framework based not on rigid rules but on clarity about my own values and boundaries. I created a list of my non-negotiable values: mutual respect, financial independence, and organic relationship progression. These weren't demands I would present to potential partners, but internal guidelines to help me recognize compatibility. Financial planner Jennifer Martinez suggests seniors create what she calls a relationship financial plan before dating. Decide in advance what you're comfortable sharing and what remains separate. Consider consulting your financial advisor or attorney to establish protective measures, like keeping property separate or creating a cohabitation agreement. These conversations needn't be awkward or confrontational. They can begin with general values around money. I've always believed in living within my means. How do you approach spending and saving? This opens the door to deeper discussions as trust builds. Many successful senior couples find that legal protections like cohabitation agreements or prenuptial agreements actually enhance their relationship by removing financial anxiety. As my friend Richard, who remarried at 72, told me, "Our prenup didn't kill romance. It made us both feel secure enough to fully commit, knowing our children's inheritances were protected and our finances were clear." For those re-entering the dating world after 60, finding safe and effective ways to meet potential partners is another challenge. The landscape has changed dramatically, with online dating now accounting for over 35% of new relationships among seniors. While this offers opportunities, it also presents risks. Dating coach Barbara Waxman, who specializes in helping seniors find love, recommends these specific safety measures. Meet in public places for the first several dates. Research potential matches through mutual connections when possible. Discuss financial philosophy in general terms before specific details. Watch for consistency between words and actions. Trust your instincts if something feels wrong. Background checks have become increasingly common, with specialized services designed specifically for seniors. Far from being intrusive, these checks can provide peace of mind. Similarly, taking time to verify information through mutual connections or professional networks isn't being paranoid. It's being prudent. The lessons I've taken from my experience with Christine have profoundly shaped my approach to dating. Perhaps the most important is learning to value my own company enough that I'm not willing to sacrifice my peace for the sake of avoiding loneliness. Many seniors compromise on core values out of fear that opportunity for connection are limited as we age. This scarcity mindset can lead us to accept treatment we would never have tolerated in our younger years. But here's a truth I've come to embrace. Being alone doesn't have to mean being lonely. With community involvement, meaningful activities, and self-care, solitude can be peaceful and fulfilling. A mismatched relationship, on the other hand, can bring more isolation and misery than being on your own. Since my experience with Christine, I've become more involved in my community center's activities, joining a weekly book club and a gardening group. These connections enrich my life and provide opportunities to meet like-minded people in natural settings rather than the sometimes artificial environment of designated dates. Are there success stories? Absolutely. I'm inspired by couples like my friends Eleanor and Robert, who met at a community volunteer event at 68 and 72, respectively. They took things slowly, maintained their separate homes for 2 years while dating, and now share a life filled with travel, grandchildren, and deep companionship. They negotiated financial arrangements that respected both their needs and those of their adult children, creating a blended family that works beautifully. The recovery period after a negative dating experience varies for everyone. For me, it took about 3 months before I felt ready to consider meeting someone new. During that time, I reflected on the experience not as a failure, but as valuable information that helped clarify what I want and don't want in a relationship. 6 months after my coffee date with Christine, I met Margaret at a community garden workshop. Our relationship has developed naturally, without ultimatums or financial demands. We enjoy each other's company twice a week, maintain our separate homes, and contribute equally when we dine out or attend events. This balance feels right for both of us, and the relationship has brought joy rather than anxiety into my life. In conclusion, let me summarize the 4 warning signs we've discussed today. First, beware of early financial commitment demands. Any request for significant money early in a relationship deserves serious scrutiny. Second, be cautious of extravagant spending expectations. Healthy relationships involve balanced contributions and respect for each other's financial boundaries. Third, never surrender financial control. Maintain autonomy over your assets and income, regardless of how convenient combined management might seem. Finally, be wary of rigid, non-negotiable demands. Healthy relationships involve compromise and mutual consideration. My experience with Christine, while disappointing at the moment, ultimately became a gift, a clear lesson in what to avoid and what to seek in companionship during our golden years. Whether you're currently dating, considering entering the dating world, or supporting a loved one who is, I hope these insights help you navigate this journey with confidence and wisdom. Remember that your lifetime of experiences has given you invaluable intuition. Trust it. Your financial security matters. Protect it. And your golden years deserve genuine companionship based on mutual respect, not transactions or power imbalances. I'd love to hear your experiences or questions in the comments below. Have you encountered similar warning signs? What strategies have helped you navigate dating after 60? Please share your wisdom. We're all learning together on this journey. And if you found this video helpful, please give a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content designed for those of us embracing life's later chapters with optimism and practical wisdom. Thank you for joining me today. Here's to living well at every age.